caffeine metabolism, if you have your, if you ever taken one of those genetics tests, you can look up your caffeine alleles to see if you're a fast, slow, or slow metabolizer of caffeine. This metabolizing caffeine is done with the liver. The liver basically, depending on what your genetics are, you have different equipment to break down caffeine quickly or slowly. So fast metabolizers are actually very good at breaking down caffeine very quickly. It does not stay in their system long. Dutch Ride was asking earlier, is there anything good or bad to look for in an energy drink? So energy drinks get a bad rap, but they're really not inherently bad for you. Again, I'm assuming there's a reputable company that's not putting shit in there and they're gonna get sued and like the company will shut down. Okay, assuming it's a reputable energy drink company and they're not just putting in like drugs or cocaine or whatever else might go in there, is basically just a carbonated drink that's got the summation of whatever's thrown in there. Basically, caffeine and sugar for most of them. So do you have issues with sugar? Then you're probably gonna have issues with energy drink. Do you have issues with caffeine? Then you're probably gonna have issues with energy drinks and coffee or caffeine pills or whatever else it is. So most of what energy drinks are is just caffeine and sugar, or you can do the zero sugar or 0 calorie energy drinks, which is basically just diet soda with caffeine, high amounts of caffeine. But again, it's not any different than just taking a caffeine pill or getting caffeine from coffee. I mean, there's some slight differences with the impact of the other nutrients or phytonutrients that might come with coffee. Sure, we can make that argument, but on the big picture scale, energy drinks are pretty much the same as just caffeine, sugar combined in a soda, carbonated water. Yes, some of them will have B vitamins in there too, which is fine. Someone was mentioning earlier about B vitamins. Oh man, is that so bad for you? Let's pick one apart in just a second. But first, examine.com. They have energy drink articles on this, and examine.com, if you don't know them, they are the best resource for the evidence-based crowd looking for evidence-based summaries on common health issues such as energy drinks. And basically, it's just a combination of caffeine and taurine and whatever else they're gonna throw in there, depends on energy drinks. And it's just the sum of the parts. So you can go through, they have actually multiple articles on energy drinks, and that's what they talk about. And yeah, there's case studies. There have been basically, a case study is a fancier term for an anecdote, like an individual person happened to have this and they documented it, where it caused problems for them. And usually those cases where people die from energy drinks and they get lots of publicity is because it is they were basically doing way too much of it, or they had some other underlying condition, or they just they're very sensitive to caffeine. Okay, all of those is a recipe for disaster. Okay, if you don't do well with caffeine, you should not be drinking energy drinks. Okay, caffeine metabolism, if you have your if you ever taken one of those genetics tests, you can look up your caffeine alleles to see if you're a fast, slow, or slow metabolizer of caffeine. This metabolizing caffeine is done with the liver. The liver basically depending on what your genetics are, you have different equipment to break down caffeine quickly or slowly. So fast metabolizers are actually very good at breaking down caffeine very quickly. It does not stay in their system long. This is different from tolerance, which I'll talk about in a second. But basically, they break down caffeine so fast that it's out of their system, they can go to bed, they can have coffee in the afternoon and go to sleep just fine. You know who you are if you're that person where like you can pound 2 cups of coffee at 8 p.m. and go pass out at 10, no issues. Versus someone who's on the other extreme, slow metabolizer, they have a cup of coffee at 9 a.m. and they can't sleep all night at all. And you know who you are. Like you get the jitters and it stays with you like all day. Now the tolerance issue is different. Tolerance is basically just how sensitive are you to caffeine. Metabolism is how long will it take before the caffeine's out of your system. So if you're let's say a fast metabolizer, but you're sensitive, you're gonna feel the kick and the rush from the caffeine, but it'll be gone after an hour or two. Just as an example. So someone who's been consuming caffeine for a long time, such as me, too much maybe, then my sensitivity is down. However, I'm in the middle. I'm a fast, slow metabolizer, which basically means I don't clear it out that fast, but it doesn't like keep me up all night. So as long as I stop my caffeine intake before 5 p.m., I'm usually fine. Again, it depends on the dose too. It's dose dependent. But anyway, that's kind of a quick overview of caffeine, of does it bother you or not? And that's really not so much a question for energy drinks, but a question for caffeine in general. Can you handle it? The genetic test I'm talking about, Reaper, is just almost any kind of genetics test that you can take out there. You can download, or either they'll tell you as like part of the report. They'll tell your caffeine genetics, or just download the raw data and just Google for caffeine genetics or caffeine alleles and caffeine genes, caffeine metabolism genes. You'll find out what the sequence is. You copy and paste that into your code. You know what? Let me just show this on, you know what? Let me just walk you guys through this right now. Give me a second to pull this up. So I was gonna talk about the B vitamins and the daily upper limit. So let's look at B12 really quick for the daily upper limit, and then we're gonna do the genetics, like showing you guys how to look up your own alleles for this stuff. I need to prep some stuff and pull things on screen to get ready for this. And I need to pull up my raw data. It's gonna take a minute for that. And in the meantime, I'm gonna pull up some other information about vitamin B12, because like if you look up an energy drink, let's look at Monster energy drink label. And I'm gonna just prep a bunch of stuff to talk about energy drinks and how much is in there. This will be good enough. Okay, and then daily upper limit. And let me pull up on examine.com, vitamin B12. Because there's two things I want to cover. And I have to grab my genome data and move this over somewhere else to make sure it doesn't have any personal identifying information. If you guys see any personal identifying information in there, please let me know. Hopefully it doesn't show up. And let me get the genetics information ready. Caffeine gene. Or caffeine genetic allele. Okay. I think I have all the information I need for all of this. Okay. So let's start with the energy drinks. So you might see an energy drink like this, where it says you have vitamin B12, like the B vitamins. Oh man, is so much B vitamins. It's 200%. Sometimes you'll see it's like 1,000%. 1,000% of my B12 in a single energy drink. Isn't that bad? Aren't I going to overdose on that? That sounds so bad for me. These RDAs, or recommended daily value, it actually, all of these vary quite a bit from person to person, needs to needs, genetics, your what's too much and what's too little. I'll say this briefly, which is !Master John. I would go check out Chris Master John and his vitamins and minerals 101 guide, which he talks about this stuff. And the second thing is, water soluble vitamins in general don't have an upper limit that is an easily achievable upper limit that is dangerous for us. What I mean is, it is hard to overdose on water soluble vitamins, which is basically B and C, and B vitamins and C vitamins, or just vitamin C. It's hard to overdose on that unless you're intentionally trying. Even so, those are two general guidelines I want to give, versus the fat soluble ones, A, D, E, and K. A and E are kind of infamous for people overdosing on that, versus D and K aren't so much famous for that, because it's harder. People usually don't overdose on D and K. It's usually A and E, because they're taking cheap multivitamins where they super dose that. Those are fat soluble. They will stay with you for a while. But back to this original question regarding the original point I want to make about the energy drink, or the energy amount of B vitamins in it. You take a look at something like 5 Hour Energy. They have how much? They have like 8,000% of your B12 in a single shot. That sounds so bad, right? Here is how you determine, is this too much? Is this bad for me? Google this. The vitamin daily upper limit. What is the daily upper limit, or tolerable upper limit? It depends on what you're looking for. But basically, the recommended amount is 1 to 25 micrograms. Okay. What is the upper limit? So let's go in here and look at this. Do they give me the answer right away? No, I have to click through all that stuff. No, I'm not gonna click through all it. Let's just go quickly through this. Upper limit. Tolerable daily upper intake, upper limit. Tolerable upper intake level is, what is this? Upper limit amount. Maximum daily intake unlikely to cause health adverse effects. I just searched for this and I feel like I am not seeing it. Where is... Do they even define it here? This is the problem I do it live. It's sometimes difficult to find the information I was looking for. Oh, okay, yeah. Because it's relatively safe, no tolerable upper intake limit level has been set for vitamin B12. Basically, there is no maximum. We have not discovered a case where taking too much B12 was bad, except other than just like vitamin C, for example. General GI distress happens at 2 grams, which is a lot, 2,000 milligrams. A lot of, that's a lot of vitamin C. And so I know this number off the top of my head, that basically 2 grams of vitamin C per day may cause GI distress in some people. And that's the same thing. So, anyway, so that's the first thing I would look about. If you're concerned about too much of a vitamin or mineral, just look up what's the daily upper limit for how much is too much. Generally speaking, it is rare you're going to find a food or consumable, I'm a gamer, right? A food or consumable that is going to actually push you past that off a single dose. Usually it's a problem if you're consuming multiple doses of specific vitamins, and that's going to be could be a problem. Anyway, all right, so the next thing is the caffeine allele. I am going to show this on screen. Hopefully no personal information is shown. So I have my genome here. So I downloaded this from, I did 23andMe, and you can download the raw data. So it's just like raw data, right? This is useless in its current form. You have to search for stuff. So you look up stuff like caffeine genetic allele, right? This is what I'm looking up. Caffeine genetics, looking for the allele. So for caffeine metabolism, you're looking for, I believe, I kind of forget. I think it's R762551. So let's try this out. It's been a while since I've done this, but let's just go so I'm gonna copy and search for RS762551. So I'm gonna search for that. R7, there it is. Okay. So is that the only one? Nope, there's a second one. Here it is. So my R762551 is AC. I have an AC combination. So what does that even mean? We can look up the information here. So AA, right here, AA is fast metabolism for caffeine. Fast caffeine metabolism. You can read this whole article later to talk about it. Fast caffeine metabolism is AA. CC is normal metabolism of caffeine, or basically slow. AC is the middle, basically. If you read it carefully, they define it differently depending on who you're talking to. Basically, the way that's commonly defined is CC is slow, AC is slow too, only AA is fast. I'm not sure why they define it like that, because anecdotally, I've talked to people who are CCs and they like fucking get wrecked off a cup of coffee, versus most people I think are AC. I don't know the numbers on this, but whenever I talk to ACs, like myself, my wife are both AC, or middle metabolism, we don't get wrecked from coffee. And then AAs, they can abuse caffeine and it's out of their system so fast. So anyway, that was a long tangent to talk about all that stuff about caffeine metabolism and what to look for in energy drinks. Yes, waifu, you are the same as me. We're both AC. We're in the middle. And again, another thing about genetics too is this stuff is one of the interesting things about genetics is it's not like it's set in stone. Genes turn off and turn on. So back in the 90s, when we were decoding the genome, we thought like, this is it. We're gonna have all the answers now. We're gonna unlock everything about humans. And it turns out the human genome is actually pretty simple. Wheat has more genes than us. I don't remember the number. I think it's something to the order of, humans have like 11,000 unique genes, and wheat has like 220,000 unique genes. I don't understand why, but let's look that up really quick. How many unique genes do humans, and how many unique genes does wheat have? Okay, yeah. So here it is. Check this out. Is this shocking? Wheat. Okay, humans have about 20 to 25,000 unique genes. And then you look at wheat has like 100, in the order of like 160,000 to 334,000 genes. We're not very special. We're not very different. And it's interesting, but basically your genes don't set your life. Your genes do not determine everything. It's not set in stone. Genes turn on and off is very interesting. So, I hope that gives you an idea about how to kind of search for things on your own. While we're on the topic of genes, I will say that if you ever download your raw data, you can go to a website called Promethease. I'm going to type it out in chat because it is difficult to spell. Promethease. Just Google for them. It's right here. So I'll just, so you can see it on screen. Promethease. And basically you upload your gene. No, I think they do exist. Wi-Fi, I'm pretty sure they still exist. Let me look for them right now. You upload your raw data and then they will give you a ton of information, maybe information overload, maybe hypochondriacism. You might end up being a hypochondriac after that. Yeah, Promethease still exists. I just checked. So anyway, they'll just show you all the science that relates specific genes that you have to good or bad things. So might be too much information for some people to find out like, oh, you're higher risk for Alzheimer's. But what you do with that information is important. I think if you're higher risk for Alzheimer's, you should take steps to improve the likelihood that you will have a good outcome from Alzheimer's, or like just decrease the likelihood you're gonna get Alzheimer's. Stuff like, you know, lots of sleep, good quality sleep, that kind of stuff. Anyway, that's the discussion about the energy drink stuff. Stuff I would look for, I would check about, like, I would check the most important things. So we're finally answering this. Caffeine levels, does it match my tolerance of what I prefer for caffeine? I know my preferred caffeine amounts, like 200 to 400 milligrams for the morning to get me going. It depends on like how tired I am. And how many calories does it come with? My preference is if I'm gonna go for an energy drink, I usually do Monster Zero because one, I like the taste. Two, the caffeine is nice. It's a good amount of caffeine. I prefer the zero sugar because I want those calories somewhere else that's more enjoyable. And two, sometimes if I just have a regular Monster with all that sugar, it's like 200 calories, 300 calories, somewhere around there. I actually just don't feel good. Empty stomach with just pure sugar, I legitimately don't feel good. So I just prefer the zero energy. The 0 calorie one, I feel better. And no, artificial sweeteners are not that bad for you. I know some people might be thinking something awful like, did he just say he uses 0 calorie energy drinks? They're so bad for you because they use artificial sweeteners. Don't you know about artificial sweeteners? Don't you know? How dare he talk about those? So they're not that bad. And Exam.com also breaks down how artificial sweeteners, the danger of them is severely overblown. Just don't consume a ton of artificially sweetened drinks per day. You consume 1 or 2 here and there, not a big deal. Moderation matters. All right. If you like the content, comment and subscribe on YouTube. Also, follow us on Twitch and leave the notifications on. Feed your brain, feed your body, and see you next time.